Sometimes when I'm trying to do something, I can try and do it over and over again. Do exactly as I'm supposed to, and things don't work out like they're supposed to. And it'll just never get done. It'll never work out. It'll never work out.
Having a disability is hard. You are treated like a problem that needs to be solved.
One thing about my brain is it's always making noise.
I feel disoriented and I don't recognize myself or anyone around me. I feel like I don't exist and that the space that I occupy is made up inside my head.
I usually feel pretty bad thinking about my condition because I know that it makes things hard on the people around me. And it also obviously makes things difficult on me. I guess I get angry at things or I get frustrated a lot because I hate that my brain reacts the way it does to things.
That's like the big thing with OCD is that you almost don't have control of like your mind or your body.
All of my memories seem distorted and it's hard to believe in these moments. It's like I'm in a dream and I'm looking down on myself.
I normally retreat within myself and I'm normally silent and I'll look miserable even though I might not be, but normally I would just isolate myself and
isolated like that from the general population, and I wish that
My brain doesn't turn off. I see connections and references and everything, just connect dots between stuff that doesn't exist because my brain's just hyper and jumping between things.
I find myself drifting away from the present, retreating to the ever-fading sanctuary of my memories. I dream of my childhood, of people and places that once occupied my thoughts with a careless ease. Now their faces and features appear less defined, less vivid to me than they did before, and even the dreams fail to preserve the world that once seemed too real to me. And despite my strongest efforts, I watch helplessly as the flow of time pulls it all ever further downstream, as in a violent river, until nothing is left but a silhouette on the horizon.
like it's going away and you're running towards it and you can't catch it, and the bus kind of represents, you know, where people in your age group are socially, developmentally, and I feel like I'm always playing catch up, and then I work really hard and I get to where the bus was and I get super excited, and then I realize that in the time it took me to get to the bus moved even further, and so I always feel like I'm just lagging a little bit behind, and I'm constantly playing catch up and trying to catch that bus, and sometimes it feels like giving up. I feel like giving up, but you can't really. You just gotta kind of keep pushing forward.
When I feel overstimulated, it's kind of like there's an outside force, like interrupting my own thoughts. Like the world around me is somehow reaching into my brain and like pausing me and like interrupting me. And then all of those things just add up and just weigh down so heavily on my brain.
It's really funny when you think about it. Brain's just being a bunch of mush and electricity, how one little thing misfiring can just make everything so annoying and complicated, but
if I were to describe the way I think, it would mainly be visually and sequentially. The best comparison would probably be a music video, because it is visual, you see images, and they're always in a certain sequence. I'll have images going like really, really fast through my head. Sometimes it's a little too fast, so to manage that, I often would talk to myself to get it out so it won't be bouncing around in my head.
I could never pay attention or focus even though it was interesting.
Conversations about us, they don't even really involve us, and people kind of like forget we exist once we turn 18. And it's just like, once we age out of the school system, people don't even really think about us.
Even though my family thinks I am with the way I react sometimes, I'm not crazy, I'm working on it, and I have people that understand it from their own points of views now.
I was one of those kids who was forced to take Adderall when he was only like 10. And like the first 2 years, both me and as well as my parents and like people around me agreed that it was helping. But then once I got into high school, it just stopped working for me.
I think we feel so much shame for, I don't know, that I feel is just what comes up from all my life experiences, those moments through school where, my ADHD was the thing that was causing the struggle at school, and I didn't, even though you have ADHD, people, especially back then, didn't know what it actually looked like, and even still they don't understand the actual brain chemistry at play all the time.
As an adult, I've really been trying to break the cycle of thinking I'm worse than people or broken somehow because I can't do certain things as well as the average person.
Well, they can't understand. They don't think the way I do, and that's because they're wrong. And I'm like, no, people just don't think the same ever and don't operate the same ever. No two people can do that. I'm comfortable with it. I'm not happy, yay, but I don't feel the shame, I guess, that I used to feel about that people would put on me. I don't want to say useful to me, but it's something I pride myself on being able to use as a learning tool.
Thinking about ADHD, there's still definitely things that are hard about it, even though it's something that I've accepted easier. But I generally feel kind of content with having ADHD. It doesn't bother me that much.
That I pop from thing to thing, that I'm a big noticer. It's really frustrating sometimes, but I also like it and appreciate it.
Oh, they're the neurodivergent. They're incorrect and we're correct. And I think once people stop thinking in terms of I was made correctly or my brain was made correctly and then this person's was incorrect, I think that it could bridge a lot of things.
I think shame is what keeps us from having humility a lot of the time, because we're scared that because we're broken, if we acknowledge it, then we don't deserve to exist. And that's just not the case. All people are growing with their own elements at play.
Yeah, but it's been a rough go. It's been a really hard few years, but it's getting better, I guess. Thank you.